And if we're looking at things on a, I won't touch this with a 9-foot pole and it belongs in jail behind bars, to a holy shit, I cannot wait to rub this and absorb this into my pores, this really is a little bit more on this side of the line. What does The Ordinary, WISHTREND, Hyram, Nip and Fab, the Inkey List, and Face Reality have in common? Well, they're all skincare brands that have some good products, specifically products with mandelic acid. Here's the problem. Not all mandelic acid products are good. I feel like mandelic acid is the neglected AHA. It's kind of like the middle child that works really hard, really helps to like support the family dynamic, but often just gets forgotten. And mandelic acid is fantastic when used in the right formulas. And as a medical esthetician who recommends mandelic acid to so many people, I wanted to break down some of the best and some of the worst products that exist and what's actually worth it. Mandelic acid is an AHA, an alpha hydroxy acid, but it's a very special one. First off, because it is relatively small, but also mandelic acid is both water and oil compatible. So for people who do have oily skin but are looking for an acid that's exfoliating and a little more hydrating, mandelic acid is great. But also for people who have dry skin or their skin doesn't have a lot of oil, mandelic acid can also work pretty well. Mandelic acid is really special because it can help to exfoliate the skin, it can help with skin texture, with skin color and hyperpigmentation, but it absorbs evenly into the skin. Glycolic acid is like really potent, but she can sting at a really small molecular size. And while mandelic acid is still relatively small, it's bigger than something like glycolic acid, so it actually absorbs into the skin more evenly, and it's not melanotoxic, aka melanotoxic. Let's break down that word. Melano meaning melanocyte or melanin, basically the cells or the pigment in our skin, and cytotoxic, cyte meaning cell and toxic meaning deadly, dangerous, harmful. So that means that mandelic acid is not melanin skin producing cell damaging. And that means it's great for people of color or people who do struggle with redness and darkness in their skin but have issues with other acids, which like glycolic acid could cause some uneven skin tone for certain people. Now, how should you use mandelic acid? Well, it's best used at night. You always want to use a sunscreen when you have this in your routine, but you could use mandelic acid in the day depending on what percentage it is and what kind of product you have it in. Mandelic acid can come in washes, in face masks, in serums, etc., but I personally like things that stay on the skin, which is why we need to start with one of my least favorite products that has mandelic acid of all time. Now, I love Nip and Fab as a brand. They do have a lot of fragrance in their products, but they have some really good and really potent things. However, this charcoal cleansing bar was a charcoal cleansing disaster. This bar, while it looks cool, it belongs behind bars because of the atrocities it did to my skin. This was a $16 bar of charcoal that is a literal mess. I don't actually know how much mandelic acid is in here because I didn't feel like it exfoliated or refreshed my skin at all. It felt like it left soap scum like on my face. And then the charcoal in here literally got left on my face and in my pores and in my bathtub and like around my shower. This was so bad, and this is not what I expect from Nip and Fab. I honestly don't even know if they have this anymore. They may have discontinued it because I did buy this like a year ago and it has been in the very back of my skincare shelf. Why do I hold on to these things and hoard them? Good question. So I can talk about them and help you avoid a terrible purchase. But this was absolutely horrible. I couldn't even finish it, and maybe for some people they might like it, but for me I thought it was disgusting. Bar skincare has a bad name in the medical esthetician world and in skincare in general. Not all bar skincares are bad, but this one is literally the reason why it has a bad name. Don't fucking touch this in my opinion. Next, this pains me to say because I have to admit it's actually a decent serum, but this is kind of at the bottom of my list just because although it's a decent serum, I don't think it's worth it for the price. And there's other mandelic acids that work way better. This is from Allies of Skin. And again, I do really like this, but it's over $100 and I just couldn't justify the price. This has mandelic acid, but it also has rosehip, it has salicylic acid and niacinamide. And I found that they were just throwing so much stuff in here that the mandelic acid wasn't really able to shine or do its job properly. This is the Mandelic Pigmentation Corrector Night Serum. And again, for my skin type, I am obviously not someone who has really melanated skin. This may be a dream come true for someone who struggles with pigmentation and they can't use other AHAs. Probably worth every penny, but for my skin and my experience, it just wasn't worth the $100 price. Also, the pump drop, it tries to be cool, but it ends up being hell fucking weird. If you have a lot of money and you want to spend it on bougie skincare, this is definitely an option, but it also has these other acids in it, and I feel like the other acids like salicylic acid or the 11% lactic acid just kind of took away from the mandelic. I really feel like the mandelic is a little hero in here, and they did put in a lot of great antioxidants and other things, but it just distracted from what I was actually looking for. They took something great, mandelic acid, tried to make it super fancy and worth $100, and it just ended up broken on the back of my skincare shelf. Now, if you do have ebony, black, or melanated skin, I'd love to know if this works better for you. I think in general, mandelic acid is a better choice, and we have some other ones that definitely work for people of color. However, I just couldn't justify this, especially with this motherfucking thing. Next up, we got one that I actually really like for what it is, but it just doesn't come in at the top of my list because there are some mandelic acid products out there that for the price and for what they do are phenomenal. This right here is from Face Reality. This is the Mandelic Face and Body Wash for acne prone skin. And if you're acne prone, this is awesome. It has green tea, it's hydrating, it's a good wash. But again, mandelic acid, I feel like it works better as a leave-on treatment. In order for mandelic acid to work, it needs to absorb into the skin, and then it helps to exfoliate over time. It brings in that brightness, helps with retexturing. Yes, it can help with acne. This is good. It's like a good body wash, especially if your skin doesn't do well with benzoyl peroxide or salicylic acid and you're struggling with acne, or you have dry skin and acne, you're gonna love this. But I have oily skin and acne, and while it is a great product, just the rinse off, I want this in a leave-on. This was also $35. I do think it's worth every cent. Face Reality is fantastic, and if you struggle with acne and you have not tried their products, you need to try some of them. But I don't know if this one would be at the tippy top of my list. However, we're gonna talk about Face Reality a little bit later on as well, because they do have something that shines. But one thing that actually brings us into the I really like this and it's worth the money is this, and it's shiny little package. This is from WISHTREND. WISHTREND is basically a K-beauty retailer that has so many great items at great prices, but they're a unique K-beauty retailer because they have their own brand as well. This right here is their Mandelic Acid 5% Skin Prep Water, and this is a very gentle 5% mandelic acid that's so easy to use that you can put it on and then go out during the day if you put sunscreen over the top. And this is just refreshing in a way that's not overwhelming or irritating to skin. You can put it on like a little cotton pad and then swipe it on your face. I like to put it on my hands and just press it on so I get the most of it. And again, this is a really gentle leave-on way to use mandelic acid night or day as long as you have that sunscreen, and to actually have this work throughout the entirety of the day. I would recommend this for anyone who doesn't want to fuss with their skincare routine, really anyone who struggles with pigmentation. In addition to the mandelic acid, this has licorice, and licorice can really help with pigment and uneven skin. If you get little red marks after blemishes, if you're prone to hyperpigmenting, or if you get sunspots, absolutely fantastic. And generally always patch test, but this is really good for people who have ebony, dark, black skin, or for people of color. Then, isn't this a little surprise? Skincare by Hyram, the $20 serum, the Mandelic Acid and Rice Bran Exfoliating Serum. When I first tried this 2 years ago, I wasn't sure if I was the biggest fan. I was brutally honest about the products, and I tried to separate the products from the person. Now, the packaging still pissed me the f off. I do not like the packaging, but over time, I have found that this actually works pretty well. Once you get it out, then it goes. But I have found that this actually works as a pore reducer on my nose. This is really great, especially if I've like over exfoliated previously and I'm trying to get back into it, but it's gentle enough to use during the day or after a time that my skin is a little bit more sensitive. The great thing about this one is that it does have rice bran in it as well. That's super hydrating. Rice has beta glucans, which can help hold on to moisture and really help the skin, especially if you do have a damaged skin barrier. And I would say if you're looking for like a really gentle mandelic acid serum that you could use during the day on sensitive skin, or if you're a beginner to skincare, this is a really good choice. And for 20 bucks, it actually came in on top of the Face Reality and on top of the WISHTREND for me because of the price and what you're getting in return. Now, it's definitely not my favorite, but I found that this is so gentle that if I'm wearing a sunscreen, it's appropriate for at least my skin. This also has a tiny bit of salicylic acid, and unlike the mandelic acid from Allies of Skin, this one doesn't feel like they were trying to overdo it. Again, not my favorite serum in the world, but it is a relatively decent one. And if we're looking at things on a I won't touch this with a 9-foot pole and it belongs in jail behind bars to a holy shit, I cannot wait to rub this and absorb this into my pores, this really is a little bit more on this side of the line. Now, The Ordinary has a mandelic acid serum at one of the best prices I've ever seen. I think this is like $8, $9. This is the Mandelic Acid 10% plus hyaluronic acid. I'm actually shocked this is not top of the list. There's actually something that's better than this. But if you are on a budget, if you're looking for a good, easy to use mandelic acid, this is it. If I can get it open, as you can see, I don't use it as often as I should. This serum is so easy to use. It is a little bit potent, so I would say only use this at night. Again, it's a 10%, whereas like the WISHTREND was more of a 5. But this also has hyaluronic acid in it, so it can actually bind onto moisture and pull that deeper into the skin if you have other hydrators in your routine. But that's also why this isn't at the tippy top of my list. I do feel like I need to layer this with other products in order to get that hyaluronic acid to really work. I wish that this was sold in a version that doesn't have the hyaluronic acid, then this may be the absolute top. But I feel like the Mandelic acid plus HA fragrance-free formula is a really good one. And it's simple, it's easy to use, it's a little bit oily on the skin, but overall it is really nice. And because it's a leave-on product, a serum that actually penetrates into the skin, you are getting those benefits. I recommend using this at night as a serum underneath your moisturizer. Now, the reason this isn't the top of the top is because I feel you need to use it with a moisturizer. There are some other serums that are a little bit more expensive, but worth so much more, especially for acne or pigment-prone skin. Face Reality's L-Mandelic acid serum barely can be beat. It's beat by one other product only. This is amazing, and it's an 8% L-Mandelic acid serum. Now, what's the difference between L-Mandelic acid or D-Mandelic acid? Well, the D or the L is actually talking about chirality, basically how the molecule is oriented. And L-Mandelic acid is so much more stable, and it can be absorbed really gently but effectively into the skin. The way that this Face Reality serum is formulated, it absorbs so well. You only need a little bit to go a long way. It is potent at 8%. If you use a sunscreen, you could get away with it during the day if it's like cloudy. It is potent, it is effective, but boy is it gentle. And if you struggle with pigmentation, especially from acne, this is one of the best. Now, the issue is that it is a little bit more expensive. This one is $45. Absolutely worth it for me. But again, I understand that for some people, they might want something a little bit less pricey, which is when I would say, if you're okay with the oiliness, go for the ordinary. Or if you want my top recommendation, baby, use this from the Inkey list. I love this so much that I think I just have an empty box. Yeah, I've used all the product and then I threw the product away and I was like, why did I do that? Because I need the bottle to hold it up and show you that I used it all. But I'll just get another one. This is the Mandelic acid treatment from the Inkey list. This is basically a spot treatment, but holy shit, I use this as a serum on my skin. This is hydrating, it is effective, it is anti-pigmentary, it is anti-acne, and it's $11. It says that it's formulated for all skin, and I do feel like I can use it on my oily skin, or I can recommend it to people that are dry, but this is the snack jar of skincare. You know how you walk into some people's houses and they have like that bowl of nuts and you're like sifting through the bowl of nuts and you're like, no, I don't want the walnuts. They make my teeth swell up. Your teeth don't swell up when you eat walnuts, lucky you. And you're like, nah, I don't want the cashews today. And you're like looking for the almonds because they're so tasty and healthy for you. This is the one I'm always looking for. I love this from the Inkey list for the price, for what you get, for how tiny, honestly, the little bottle is, but how it goes such a long way. This really cannot be beat, especially for the price and how it works. This is the top Mandelic acid product that I've used on my skin or recommended to others, and I cannot rave about this enough. What's also fantastic about this formula is that it has jojoba oil, which you know mimics our skin's oils naturally. I love jojoba, my skin loves it. A lot of other people do too because it really helps to strengthen a skin barrier. On top of that, this has rice bran, which as we spoke about with the Skincare by Hyram, is a beta-glucan option that really helps to hydrate the skin. And although this isn't the same as Skincare by Hyram, it's a little bit thicker, I feel like this works so much better. And you can use this day or night, although they recommend it at night. And I would say if you're not wearing sunscreen and a hat, don't use this when you're gonna go out in the sun. Use this at night unless you're using it responsibly during the day. Now, there aren't a lot of Mandelic acid skincare products out there. Again, I kind of feel like it's an unsung hero of skincare, especially for people who have hyper or hypopigmentation. But if there's another Mandelic acid product that is not on this list that you need me to buy and try so that you don't have to, let your bitch know. Because if it's vegan and cruelty free, I will buy it, I will try it so you don't have to, and I will tell you whether or not it's worth the money. Always remember to stay hydrated, both orally and topically. Reapply that sunscreen, especially if you're using Mandelic acid in your routine, and always be beautiful both inside and out. I love you, and I cannot wait to see you in this video where we did the best and worst azelaic acids, or even this video where we did the best and worst vitamin C serums. Love you guys. Bye.